Hello folks, so this is my first kind of down and dirty, non-edited, one take video blog for Don't Cry Wolf. As always, I would love to have your comments below, so please do leave those. And if you do like this video, then do give it a thumbs up. As I said, this is completely unedited. It's a bit of a raw video attempt. And the reason why I'm doing this is frankly because I'm on holiday, or sort of on holiday, which kind of brings me to the subject of my video blog today. And that is balancing that weird kind of grey area between working and not working when you're running a small business like I am, or have just started a small business like I have done. Frankly, the thought of going away for a week and totally switching off when I'm only 4 months into a new venture made me feel a little bit sick inside. So what I wanted to do was instead try and run that kind of very tight rope sort of situation where I'm sort of working but not working, trying to enjoy myself and have a bit of a holiday, but also make sure that I'm on top of things and keeping an eye on the projects, the various projects that are running for Don't Cry Wolf. And rather than tell you how wonderfully successful this has all been and how massively liberating it is to be a small business owner, and how for the next 6 months I'm going to be traveling the world with just my laptop and my phone, what I thought I'd do was share the actual realities of this and kind of what I've learned. So first and foremost, I needed to be much clearer right at the start of this. I needed to be much clearer about when I was available, when I wasn't available, and actually give some sort of sense of time frames around when people could contact me and how quickly I'd be getting back in touch with them. The kind of generic thing that I used to do and what I applied this time around at the beginning was, hey, it's going to take a little while for me to get back to you, but I just don't think that that's good enough. So being really clear about those sort of expectations and when people can expect to have a response from me and when I will actually be working is something that I needed to do much, much earlier on, and actually could have done that right from the start to make everyone's lives a little bit easier and to not be so ambiguous about when I was actually going to get back to people and when I wasn't. Okay, so this brings me on to my second thing, which is actually it does work. You can have a bit of a working holiday, but what you need is structure and a bit of rigidity, if that's a word, and by that I mean actually sticking to some sort of agenda. So for me, I've got 2 young kids, and my wife and I get up very, very early. They wake up at about sort of 5:45, no matter where we are in the world, and actually that provides a bit of opportunity, because what it means, firstly, is they can get up, we can get them breakfast and showered and clothed, etc. And I can actually spend a couple of hours doing a bit of work, because nothing really opens at the time which they're up, unless we want to go to an all-day bar, which I'd love to, or a diner, again, which I'd love to. But nothing actually opens. So it gives us a couple of hours. Also, it gives me a couple of hours later on in the day, because the 2 kids, after they've run around, eaten as many sweets as possible and just generally headbutted strangers in the crotch as we walk along one of the famous high streets in Istanbul, they fall asleep, they get tired. That's an exhausting day of terrorizing people. So during that time, again, it gives me an opportunity, and it's roughly the same time every day for me to actually complete some work and get on with things. And what would have been much better right at the start is to say, actually, these are the couple of hours that I'll be available during the day, and sticking to that agenda and sticking to it, being quite strong in yourself and saying, yeah, look, I'm not going to answer emails, I'm not going to respond to messages except for these time frames. So actually setting that agenda and sticking to it would be the second kind of tip that I will now take forward to the next time that I do this. So the third thing is actually around time zones, and it's about making time zones really, really work for you. Istanbul is 2 hours ahead of the UK, and actually that offers a bit of opportunity. So working to the time zones that you're actually in, and actually managing your diary and managing your work-life balance based on the time zones that you're occupying at the time, actually really does tend to have some help there. Okay, the final thing that I just wanted to highlight is that I could have been a bit braver about this, to be honest with you. Yes, I'm only 4 months into a business, and the idea of pissing off for a week kind of, as I said, terrified me, but I could have been a bit bolder. You know what, as long as I had given myself a bit of a runway, a few weeks runway, organised my work accordingly and given people the appropriate amount of notice, I wouldn't have to put up with any of this stuff. I wouldn't have to do any of the work. Instead, what I could have done was just switch off, which is kind of the main idea as to why I'm here. But I didn't. And I think that's one of the key learnings that I need to sort of take away next time. And that is to give myself that nice open runway where I am building up to a holiday, where I'm putting things in place, I'm managing diaries, I'm actually scheduling projects that I might not see for another few months, but in the back of my mind, I know that I might be taking a couple of weeks off in September, let's say, so any of those projects that fall in line during that time, I can schedule around them. And I didn't do that this time particularly well, and I should have done. So those are my kind of key takeaways. I am now sat in an Istanbul hotel. I highly recommend Istanbul to anyone who hasn't been. That's not just because I'm half Turkish. It's actually a magnificent city for those with kids. They're very, very welcoming of children out here. In fact, so much so that my parenting has been dialed down to level 1 in favour of strangers just taking my children and running away with them for a couple of hours to give them ice cream, sweets, food, etc., etc., etc. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this appallingly edited, very rough shot video. I hope some of those tips you will find useful. And the last thing for me to say in Turkish is şerefe, which is cheers. And I hope you all have a fabulous weekend. I'm sure I will.